Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is Michael Griffin. I'm the President and CEO of ClientLook, and I'm thrilled to be heading up this very special presentation to Coldwell Banker Commercial. So as many of you on the call may know, we recently entered into a special sort of licensing agreement with Coldwell Banker Commercial to provide all of their affiliate brokers, agents, staff members with special pricing for ClientLook. So our agenda today is to tell you everything that ClientLook does, tell you more about this special pricing deal, and kind of give you some next steps on what you can do to get involved with ClientLook. So before we get started, let me tell you how we work these webinars. So we do these all the time, and if you haven't joined us before, you probably find that your phone is muted, which is by design. We have so many people that are typically on these calls that it's hard to entertain questions. So everybody is muted. So the good news is, I guess you don't have to worry about, making noise at your end because we can't hear you. But we do intend for these sessions to be interactive. We want to hear from you. This isn't just a one-sided sort of deal. So in the GoToWebinar control panel, somewhere along the right side of your screen, you should see a little questions section. And if that little GoToWebinar panel is collapsed somehow, you can figure out how to maximize it. But if you have questions during the course of the presentation, simply ask them. And we have our support team and our sales team who monitor those questions, and they'll reply to you back in real time. And at the end of the session, I'll pause and I'll ask, okay, are there any common questions that I should be answering, things that I didn't cover or things that, you as a group had questions about that I could provide some details on. So we'll do that. If for some reason you ask a question that is so involved or is better answered offline, we'll either send you an email or we'll call you directly to answer that question. Our program this morning is being recorded, so don't feel like you have to take a bunch of notes. So remember everything we're saying. We're going to distribute this recorded video to everybody that registered. So you'll have an opportunity to review it or watch, little segments that you want to delve into more. Okay, with all that said, let's proceed. All right, so the first thing so here's kind of how we do these presentations. I give you a couple of slides that provide an overview of ClientLook, who we are, because some of you might not have even heard of ClientLook before, who we are, where we come from, and then I jump right into a demo and show you everything about the system that you can use for your business. So the first thing I'll tell you about, is exactly what is ClientLook. So ClientLook is an industry-leading cloud-based CRM. So let me explain a little bit about that. So first of all, what is CRM? CRM means customer relationship management, and it used to be known back in the day as contact management. And it's basically a fancy term for a system that you use to manage basically contacts, relationships. And in the ClientLook case, we take it a lot further in focusing on the commercial real estate aspect of it, as you'll see. But the other thing to take away from this is cloud-based. So cloud-based means that ClientLook lives online. You're going to access ClientLook through a browser. So you need internet access to do this, but the beauty of it is that you have no responsibility to maintain some product or service or system on your own hardware. You don't need a server. You don't need special RAM and special technology. Basically, you can log into ClientLook anywhere that you can get to the internet through any device on any operating system. It doesn't matter if you're a Windows user, if you're a Mac user, if you're at home, if you're at the office, you're on vacation, if you're on a phone or on a tablet, whatever, you can log into ClientLook and be in business. Okay, so ClientLook was founded in 2009. We're not new to this scene. I've been involved in commercial real estate technology for years and years now, and the first product that I have, some of you, if you've been in the business for a while, may remember, was called Aries for Act. It was an old desktop-based add-on for the Act system that I sold to CoStar. So ClientLook has very well-established roots, and this web version is really kind of the latest and greatest incarnation of what CRM can do online. One of the real distinguishing things about ClientLook, it's what we call a native commercial real estate app. So kind of, here's the difference. So When I designed Aries, I built it as an add-on to the ACT program. So 90% of that program, that system, was ACT. Okay, and the other common, sort of modern analogy to this is Salesforce. There's lots of companies that build on top of Salesforce. So when I elected to start ClientLook, I decided that I wanted to build it from the ground up. And it's sort of the difference between, occupying a building that's a retrofit and building something from the ground up. Obviously, if you build it from the ground up, you can design in far more specialization and things that really work for the business. In knowing all of the compromises that I had to make back in the ACT desktop days, I knew I didn't want to repeat that. So fortunately, everything that you're going to see about ClientLook, every link, every button, every screen, every field is designed solely for commercial real estate. We're not trying to adapt another program and kind of force it to work for our industry. Everything you see is kind of first generation commercial real estate, design. ClientLook is made for any sort of specialty, any company, and any size. So we've got lots of single users, we've got teams, we've got enterprise with hundreds and hundreds of users across the country. So it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are, ClientLook works for anybody. Currently, now this number is a little dated, so I think we're almost up to 1,700 cities now. So ClientLook over the last couple of years has exploded, and it's so thrilling for me to see. ClientLook in almost 1,700 cities and 9 countries. So we've really grown rapidly over the last few years. Okay, so why is ClientLook so special? So there are other options that you have for CRM tools. Why is ClientLook any different or better than these other applications? Well, the first thing I would suggest is this native commercial real estate design. That's a significant differentiator. We don't accommodate any other industry. You're not going to find things in ClientLook that look a little goofy because really we can't change, that part of the, fundamental application. We can do anything we want with ClientLook. It's designed solely for commercial real estate brokers. The one thing that we really sort of hang our hat on here at ClientLook is our ease of use. So we take the approach that you're never going to invest time in training, and that to require you to invest time in training is irresponsible. It's significantly costly, and it really hampers your adoption. It makes it really hard for you to use a tool that you have to be taught to use. So we try to design things out of the box to be so easy and intuitive that you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to worry about going through some training program to understand how to do stuff, as I'll show you here in the demo coming up. So one of the other big issues that we attempt to remedy in a very unique way with ClientLook is the idea that when you use a CRM successfully, it requires an hour or 2 hours a day of time with data entry, with logging new people, with adding properties, with logging simply what you do and scheduling follow-up appointments. All of this takes time. And I'm the first guy to tell you, as a CRM provider, that a lot of what a CRM requires you to do is not worth your time. And I don't mean to say that the outcome or the benefits of the CRM can't significantly transform your business. I mean, the idea of you sitting there as a top money earning broker and keying in business cards is not right. So ClientLook provides an exclusive virtual assistant service. We have a team of about 10 people, and all they do all day long is service the requests of our users. So think of this as like your own sort of team of assistants, and you can do all kinds of stuff with them, as I'm going to show you through the demonstration. But this is really special, really unique. It's free. It's a part of ClientLook. It's not an extra service, and it's something that really helps ClientLook users be more competitive. Okay, so integrations. So we're really big on integrations. One of the things that I feel like we have a responsibility to do in the industry is to help eliminate redundant data entry. CRMs, ClientLook in particular, becomes the hub of people's businesses. It becomes the place that they log in the morning and they log out at night, where they put all their contacts and their properties and their activities. They put a lot of data that has application in other tools. So we build connections to BuildOut, to Xceligent, to MailChimp for email, to Google, to other leading investment analysis things like the Analyst Pro, tools that help you do your job. But what we're trying to do is to eliminate the inefficiency with working with these other tools through these integrations. You're going to see some examples of that in our demo. Okay, here's one other big thing that I'll show you, talk to you about in the demo as well, but client collaboration. So ClientLook is built on the idea that you not only need to organize your own content for your own benefit, but that you need to be able to communicate with your clients. So ClientLook includes a feature where you can provide client access to what we call deals. And they can log in and basically self-service their need for information about whatever's going on with the transaction. They can download files. They can see emails that you've shared. It's all built around a very secure, privatized sort of system. But more than anything, this is one of the distinguishing things that help ClientLook users win business. Okay, so here are the things that we're going to go through in our demo. Contacts, properties, listings, deals and pipelines, updates, and marketing. And at the end, I'm going to give you a sneak preview of our upcoming mobile app, and we're going to talk about the special pricing for Coldwell Banker Commercial. So stick around for that. All right, so let's get rolling here. So this is the context manual. So how did I get here? So I go to the ClientLook website, clientlook.com. I click the login link, and I log in again from anywhere using any device. And the first thing that appears here is my list of people. So the obvious question is, where do these people come from? Most of you are going to have contacts somewhere else. You're going to have contacts in Outlook, another CRM, a spreadsheet, wherever. You've got some data digitally stored. And typically you will email us that file, and the virtual assistant team will make sure that migrates over into ClientLook. So that's one way, importing data. The second way that you can get information into ClientLook is through the virtual assistant. So here's a common scenario with that. You go out into a meeting and you collect a list of, stack of business cards. You come back to your office and, if you're a diligent person, you will key those into whatever system you're using, take up a bunch of time. If you're not so diligent, like unfortunately I was often was, these stacks of cards start to pile up on your desk. So here's what a ClientLook user does. They get a card, they take a picture of it with their phone, and they email it to the virtual assistant. They can even include notes like, I met John at the networking event today. Schedule a follow-up call for me in 2 weeks. The virtual assistant team gets the email, virtually accesses your account, and does everything that you tell them to do. So that's really simple, really easy. The other way that you can get contact information is just to click this big Add a New Contact button in the upper right. I won't take you through that. It's super simple, but take for granted that in every module you're going to see in ClientLook, there is a big Add a New whatever button in that module. So whether you're in the property module or the deals module or the companies module, it's all simple. It's all easy. Once you know how to do it in one place, you kind of know how to do it everywhere. Okay, so before I jump ahead, let me just point out something that you're going to see throughout every screen I show you. So in the bottom right corner, you see this little icon here? So when you click this, it pops up a little chat window, if you will, communication window that provides the list of sort of interactions that you've had with ClientLook support and the virtual assistant team in the past. This is your direct connection into our support team. If you have a question, how do I import contacts? You'd click that button, you'd type that there, and you'd get a response back. And it archives them so you can always go back and look at previous things. But you'll see this icon everywhere. It's even in our mobile app. So this is one way that we try to make it really, really easy for you to connect with our team when you do need help. And the responses are really quick. You'll get responses back both in the app as well as via email. So if you don't happen to be logged in at the time, you'll still see your answer. So I just wanted you to know what that button was there. Okay, so now let's jump down to a contacts record here. and I'll show you some of the details. So now we've clicked on a record, or we've done a lookup. Up at the top, there's that search context box. I can type in a name and we can jump right to a person. But this is Jessica Anderson, and let me show you, can give you kind of the lay of the land when it comes to her record and understanding the components of it. So up at the top left, okay, you see Jessica's name or title, her company, which is a hyperlink. You can jump to the company record, and it says tenant there. This is what we call a contact type. You can have one contact type, you can have 20 contact types, but this is how you know she's a tenant versus an investor or developer, an owner, or any sort of custom kind of category you want to create. Down the left side are all the phone numbers, email addresses, like physical addresses that you would need to contact this person. If I scroll down a little bit, you'll see custom fields. So it doesn't matter what specialty you're in. It doesn't matter where you work, what geography, anything that you might find that is particularly important related to contacts or properties or deals. You can add custom fields to track this stuff. Date fields, so lease expiration, square footage, requirement types, all that sort of stuff. There's lots of things that are built into ClientLook already, but you can extend the functionality to do just about anything you might want. All right, so if I scroll back up here, let me talk to you about the Updates tab. So you see along the top there, Updates, Activities, Properties, Deals, etc. The Updates tab is really important. And this is the one thing that I like to, one of the things that I like to suggest to people. Look, if you could only pick a couple of things to do in ClientLook, adding what you do, logging simply the outcome of your calls and your meetings would be one of those things. It sounds so simple, but it's so important. It's so important building relationships to just simply write a note that says, I spoke to Jessica and we talked about the deal. She's interested in XYZ, whatever. The goal is to get this stuff out of your head, get it into ClientLook, get it related to the context record, and kind of archive it there for future use. So how does information get into the Updates tab? You key it in. That big box at the top here, it should be pretty obvious how you add an update. What's your update? And you type it in. You can do all kinds of, advanced things like change the category. It was a meeting or a call or a property tour, or you can choose how to share it with people. You can privatize things within a multi-user account. And you can link this update to deals that you're working on or properties and that sort of thing. So that's one way. You manually input things. The other way that data gets into the Updates tab is through the virtual assistant. So let's say that I'm driving down the street so I met with Jessica, and now I'm driving down the street and I'm on my way to my next appointment. And I have all this stuff in my head that I need to log into Jessica's record, but I don't want to take the time to pull over or do whatever I have to do to log this stuff. So I can call a voicemail service for the virtual assistant, and I can say, hi, this is Michael Griffin. I just met with Jessica Anderson, and we talked about all this stuff. And I can give the virtual assistant team requests, log this update, schedule a follow-up call for me tomorrow, and put Jessica into my top prospects group. So all this stuff gets done for me, and I get an email within a few minutes that it's been completed. Simple, easy, and you stay focused on deal making. So that's the other way, second way that information gets into the Updates tab. The third way is via email. So one of the things that ClientLook is really, really good at is organizing every email that you send. So think of the struggles that you have now with organizing emails, organizing everything that you send to people and trying to correlate it. If you're using Outlook, you've got one big sent items folder. And, I've even seen people go to great lengths to create all these subfolders where they're dragging messages and trying to organize it. All of that is gone with ClientLook. So here's how it works. Each ClientLook user gets their own ClientLook email address. So this is an email address that you add to Outlook, that you add to your phone, whatever. And you simply click this little email me a vCard link in the middle there, and it will add this to your device with the name of ClientLook. So here's how it works. So I'm in the field, I'm on my phone, and I want to send an email to Jessica. So I compose the email, I might attach something to it, and I BCC ClientLook. So the email goes to Jessica. A copy of that email also goes to ClientLook, and it authenticates knowing it came from me, and then it will look into the recipient list. So I might have sent this to Jessica, I might have sent it to 10 people. What ClientLook will do is it will create a copy of that email in the system, in your account, and then it will link that email to all of the recipients that it finds in your account based on email address. And it will also include the file attachments. So imagine now when you pull up Jessica's record, you not only have the log of what you've spoken about and the outcome of property tours or interactions or whatever, but you now have every single email you've ever sent or received from this person, including all the file attachments. So think about how easy that makes organizing data, and it gives you this the most amazing picture of your history with somebody when you can do it that way. All right, let's jump over here to the activities tab. So this is another really important, super simple place where you can ramp up your success, which is schedule something for everyone in your database. Meaning, what's the next step that you have with somebody? Everybody's got to be moving through some kind of funnel, even if it's, I'm going to call Jessica in a year to wish her a happy birthday. You've got something scheduled. And the idea is that you log into ClientLook in the morning, and it simply tells you what to do. It tells you the things that you scheduled yesterday. I have to do this tomorrow and that kind of thing. And it tells you and reminds you how, to follow up on lease expirations that you might have scheduled years ago. But the point is, nobody falls through the cracks if you just do this one simple thing. And scheduling events and tasks are easy. You see those big buttons there. You just click, fill out a few fields, and away you go. Okay, let's jump over here to the Properties tab. So one of the things I'm going to talk to you about next is the Properties module. So this is one of the places where a commercial real estate CRM really differentiates itself from a standard CRM. Properties, deals, listings, these are all things that are specific to our industry. So in ClientLook, as you're going to see, you will develop over time a property module. Just like you're developing a contacts list, you're going to develop a list of properties, the properties that are important to you. And we'll talk about all the ways that you can get properties into the system. But one of the real benefits and the payoffs for tracking properties is that you can then relate people to properties. So the idea is I can pull up Jessica's record and I can quickly identify that she's related to 3 properties. And if I look along the right side in that relationship column, I see that she's a tenant of one. She's a prospect for another property. I must have presented this to her at some point. And she's a tenant for another one. And I see lease expiration and the square footage and, suite floor and all that kind of stuff. So this is really powerful. So one of our hopes with ClientLook is that, given that you have a very finite window of opportunity when you engage with somebody, how can we help make you an expert in everything real estate related, as with Jessica Anderson? So those few minutes that you might get this person on the phone, you come off as the most skilled broker they've ever encountered. So let me show you how you relate a property to a person. So you simply click this big relate a property button in the upper right corner, and you get this pop-up that appears here. So currently it lets you relate properties from 2 different sources. And I'm going to show you one of these now, one of these later. So you'll see that the 2 sources are ClientLook and Xceligent. So if you're an Xceligent subscriber, you're in Xceligent market, I'll show you some cool ways that you can integrate their data. But for the sake of this example, let's just choose ClientLook. Okay, so we've got properties in our property module. Jessica identified to me that she has some relationship with one of these properties. So I come down here and search for properties and I enter an address and I select the property from the list. Okay, so I chose the Michelson, which is an office building in Irvine. Then it asks me, well, what's the relationship this person has with the property? So I click this choose relationship types field and up comes a pop-up. So one thing to know in ClientLook is basically anywhere you see a pop-up list, this can be customized. It comes with standard off-the-shelf sort of entries, but you can make this your own. Okay, so don't assume anything that you see here is kind of written in stone. But this is where I would indicate that Jessica is an owner or a prospect or an investor or whatever relationship I want. And I can choose more than one relationship type if I want to. It's very flexible, very easy. But in this case, I'm going to choose tenant. Okay, so when I choose tenant, some special things happen. ClientLook prompts you to enter the suite, the floor, the amount of space that this company occupies in this property, and the lease expiration. So I can populate those fields here to say she's in suite 1200 on the 12th floor and 24,000 square feet and a lease coming up in 2022. So for those of you who track tenants, and care about lease expirations, this is the easiest way to relate people to properties, track their relationship to those properties, track their square footage, their lease expiration with those. And it's what we call extensible, meaning that one contact can be related to 20 properties if you wanted to, and each property could have a distinct lease expiration and that sort of thing. So once you're done, you just click add, and it becomes now a new property, as you see there, the second entry, the Michelson related to Jessica with all the details. All right, so let's jump into the deals here as we keep moving through the contact record. So we're going to talk about deals in a few minutes. These are any sort of assignment that you might have, like a listing or a tenant rep assignment, or you're working with a buyer or an investor. So these are the deals that Jessica is somehow associated with. So it's easy to see, kind of the dealings that you're having with her. Marketing is going to tell us the level of engagement that Jessica has had with emails that you've sent in the past. So currently, ClientLook integrates with an email system called MailChimp, and I'll show you how this works in a few minutes too. But the beauty of this is that you can pull up any contact in ClientLook that you sent an email to and see the complete history of everything you've sent them, as well as statistics like this here at the top. So Jessica's received 15 campaigns. She has a pretty low open rate, pretty low click rate. And as I scroll down the list there, I can see everything we've sent, and I'll see if she clicked anything. So the hope, again, is that you can use this information to create some sort of demand profile for somebody that they might not be telling you. They're clicking on properties in the south side of town, but never on the north side, or whatever the case is. But the point is, all of that email, marketing information that you use is finally now kind of funneled down into a context record this way. Now, groups are a way to segment records or segment your list. So you might have 10,000 contacts, and you can slice and dice those contacts via groups. So you can see here that Jessica is related to 4 different groups. That big edit group membership button, as you might guess, there is what you click to change the groups that she's related to. And then when as you select those groups in the lists, she'll come up. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about. So that was contacts, how to organize people, schedule, adding updates, organizing emails. Now we're going to talk about properties. So properties is this other big part of ClientLook that's really easy, really simple, and really, really powerful. So the big question here, though, is how did these properties that you see on the screen get into ClientLook? The most common way is through importing. So you provide the virtual assistant team with some list, something that you've used in the past. You've got an Excel spreadsheet. You've got a former CRM that you've used, but you send it over, and the fields get mapped up, and bam, you've got your property list in ClientLook here. You can also simply, you can also send information to the virtual assistant. So a common thing we get is, somebody sent me a flyer, and I said, I don't have this property in my property module. Forward it to the virtual assistant, and they will key in the property information into your property module. Your goal long-term is to create a property universe that is specific to you, that contains your customized intelligence, that's really an asset to your business and something that differentiates you from somebody else. We've become so reliant these days on these third-party property systems that we've gotten away from the idea, the ability to, kind of create this ourselves. Well, ClientLook makes that really easy so that you can do that. But let's talk about a couple of ways to get data in. So if you click this big button in the top here, add a new property, you've got 2 options. You can manually add a property, and you click this, and literally you have 100 fields of data that you could manually populate if you choose to. And that's what, for years and years, people did that. That was kind of the traditional way of adding a property to your system. In essence, you were sort of a research assistant. The other way to do that, to add properties, though, is to choose this add from provider link. So I'm going to click that, and we get this pop-up. So, and you see over on there on the left, the source. I'm going to click that. And we have 2 options. We can import properties from Xceligent or for BuildOut. So the BuildOut one is really simple, really cool. If you've put property information into BuildOut. So BuildOut, if you don't know, is an awesome marketing system. Creates flyers and really great output for presentations. So you've put a property over there and you want to bring it into ClientLook, so you select build out, type in the address, and it pulls it in. And I want to show you though the Xceligent option because it's a little more robust and pretty slick. Okay, so we've chosen Xceligent. So the assumption here is that you're an Xceligent subscriber. And if you're not, just bear with me for a minute. I want to show you this because it's pretty cool. All right, so over here we've selected Xceligent. Now we want to choose the metro that we want to draw a property from. So Xceligent has data in 50 different metros. So I'm going to choose here Southern California and type in an address. So I come down here and search for property and I type an address. Okay, Bayview Corporate, it does a little search and it produces this list of matches. So I say, yeah, you know what, the one I want is this South Tower here. So think about what I've done. I have selected Xceligent as a source. I've chosen one of their metros here. So I have access to 1.5 million properties. I've typed in an address because, you know, somebody told me they were interested in this building, or, you know, I want this property in my property module one way or another. I've identified it here and I simply select it. Okay. And then down in the bottom right, I choose add this property. Okay. So it does this little thing where it pulls the property data down and bam. Now I have this property in ClientLook complete with all of the property data filled out. Okay. The other couple of things that it does is, in the case of Xceligent, is it provides public record information. So this is refreshed every time I load this property. It's going to tell me who owns it, what the sale date was, you know, all that sort of thing. As I scroll down, you can see more data fields, all the improvement data, you know, square footage, lot size, land size. And oh, on the right here, you can see a few of the other products that we integrate with. RPR is a great demographics tool for realtors. The Analyst Pro is a really slick financial analysis, risk analysis tool. And we also offer integration here to build out, so that if you've entered a property into ClientLook, you can click a button and send it to build out to short circuit your data entry there. Well, let's go through some of these other tabs within the property record. So updates, just like within a context record, you can add your own updates to a property. So this is where, over time, you know, this property accrues intelligence provided by you. And it could be anything. And it could be a note, it could be a file, it could be a link to an online, you know, article, whatever it is. But this is where you'd load all that sort of stuff. Activities or anything pending with this property. And as I'll show you when we talk about activities in a few minutes, when you schedule something, a property tour, you can link it to the property. So it would show up here as something, you know, to be done in the future. Now, availability, we'll talk about listings in a second too, but you can add a listing to this property. So if you have an assignment, you know, to sell or to lease, sell this property or lease space within the property, you can add it there. You see the big add a listing button on the right. We can also look at the availability that Xceligent shows. So this isn't something that's stored in your database. It's read live through their system, and we pull it down every time you refresh the property. So these are the current availability. So imagine you're talking to somebody and they ask about a property. You can quickly within ClientLook jump to that property and view things like availability and everything else you might have logged. Really simple and easy. Same thing is true with comps. These are actually coming from Xceligent. So these are lease and sale comp transactions. Files is your digital archive. So this is something that takes a little bit of rethinking, because most of you are probably still used to having these big, thick stacks of files for every deal. In a couple of suggestions I would have for you is number one, think about what you can scan and move into here. Or, you know, first and foremost, think about what you shouldn't or don't need to print in the first place. But this property record becomes your permanent archive for everything digital that you ever want to store with this building forever. There's no storage, you know, limits in ClientLook, so don't be afraid of, you know, hitting some limit. Just load this up with anything pertinent to the property. These are images. You can add your own images. You can stream the ones from Xceligent, as you see here. And these are people. This is the people tab. This is, you saw in that previous example with Jessica, how we related her to a property as a tenant. She would show up here. And we have the ability to see both the tenants or the contacts in general, anybody, ownership, whatever, that we've related, as well as the data that might come from Xceligent. So again, this says source there, Xceligent, and it shows me all of their data with phone numbers and email addresses, but I can just as easily flip to saying, just show me my contacts that I've related, and you'll see that as well. These are deals that you've got going within this property if you have some sort of assignment. marketing campaigns that you've sent and related to this property. So you can see that here too. You kind of get the idea how in ClientLook, everything can be sort of interrelated. So you do something one place and you can see it evidenced in other records. And then groups. So if I was to subdivide my properties list, I could put this property into any groups that I might want to make them easier to retrieve. All right. So we talked about context. We talked about how you're going to build a property module. Now we're going to talk about how you can organize listings. So when we talk about organizing listings, we're talking about your listings, not I'm going to recreate, some public available listing service and try to put all the listings from all the local firms into ClientLook. That's something I would suggest you still leave to the third parties. What you want to do within ClientLook, though, is track your listings. Track, when they start, when they expire, what brokers have them, and then use this information to push to other services I'm going to show you. So this is the listings module, and you can see in the upper right corner, add a new listing, just like add a new contact, add a new property, really easy. And you click that and you fill out a few fields and you've got your listing, repository here. So let's, this is an example. If I choose add a new listing, it's going to ask me which property I want to add it to. So I can choose a ClientLook property. And if I have the Xceligent integration, I can choose an Xceligent property to make it really easy to create a listing on the fly. So here's an example of a listing in that property we were looking at before, the Michelson. Okay, so you see this is a for lease listing. The screen is very simple, very easy to see. You can see the available space. Lease rates out here in California are monthly, which is why you see 320 to 355. And as we tab through some of these, you see various spaces. So you can have a lease listing or a sale listing or an investment listing. But if you have a lease listing, you can show multiple spaces within it. You see property details. The people are the brokers internally that represent this property. This is where you track all the deals that you have ongoing for this listing, so you know what offers are pending. Files, again, this is every offer, comp report, anything that you might want to relate to the listing. Images, and then publish. So the publish tab allows us to push this information to other services. And currently we have two options. One is build out. So if you're using build out, you can check that little box there and it will send everything about this listing to build out. So you don't have to re-key information in that system if you're using that. And the other one is commercial search. Commercialsearch.com is a very widely used public marketplace for availability. So you can check that as well. And then basically what ClientLook does is it monitors this listing. Any changes that you make automatically get pushed to those other services. So the goal is that we want to save you that time from having to rekey information while allowing you to gain the benefits of these other services in a far more simple and easy fashion. Okay, so that's listings. Now we're going to talk about your deals and pipeline management. So this is an important part of your business. Tracking the deals that you've got going, and as you look at this screen here and you go across the column headers, you can see the name of the deal, your client, and then we track things like probability and what stage is this deal at, and the opportunity amount means what's the value of this deal and when do you expect it will close. So this is how you understand what deals should you be focusing on based on value or close date or whatever. And adding a new deal, as you might expect, super simple. You just click that add a new deal button in the upper right corner and away you go. But let me jump into a deal and show you some special things here. So down the left side of the deal is, basic information related to your client and, the location of the property, if it's a listing or whatever assignment it might be. But think of a deal as any sort of assignment, regardless of your specialty. And the important part of the deal is the updates tab. So in the past, if you're a typical broker, you struggle with organizing information related to deals. You have phone calls that you've made. You have the outcome of property tours, depending on your specialty. You have tons of emails. You have lots of files, okay? This deal record is meant to manage all that in a really, really easy way. And it's almost effortless in the sense that when you add an update to Jessica's record where we were on, and I could have typed an update and say, I spoke to Jessica, or we had a property tour. I can, with a little click, link that update to this deal or to any deal one or multiple deals. And what that does is it causes that update to appear within this list here. So now I speak to 100 people in a week about various different deals. If I go to a deal record, I'll know just the people that I spoke to about that deal. I have all the files in this repository as well. But here's one of the really, really big, important differentiating features of ClientLook. It's the way that ClientLook organizes deal emails. So we talked about how ClientLook organizes contact emails. I BCC ClientLook and it connects up to my contacts. Each deal in ClientLook gets assigned its own email address. So you can come into a deal, you see that blue hyperlink there in the middle, and I can click email me a V-card and it will create a record in my Outlook or my phone for 1629 Covington. So now I'm in Outlook and I want to email some people. I compose the email, I BCC 1629 Covington, Outlook finds it, puts in the email address, and I send it. So now ClientLook will do two things with that email. It will not only relate it to all of the recipients like it normally does, but it will also relate that email to the deal. So now as I look down this deal, I have every email that I've sent to anybody that's related to this deal. So this really, truly gets rid of all of those folders that you might be trying to organize in Outlook or wherever else, because ClientLook will do this for you digitally, electronically, efficiently, and it works from anywhere, from any device, any email program. This isn't some kind of Outlook plugin or whatever. It's super simple, super easy, and will absolutely transform the way that you organize emails. All right, so let's talk about activities for deals. Again, when you schedule an activity, you can relate it to a deal. So this is all the pending stuff for this deal, future property tours or flyers that we're going to generate or email blasts that we're going to send, and kind of who's responsible for what. The people tab is where you will relate people. Just like we related Jessica to a property, you can relate a contact to a deal. So why would you do that? So several reasons. First of all, you would relate your clients here. So of all the 10,000 people in your contact database, who the clients are that are related to this deal. Second sort of genre of people that you would relate are prospects. So every person that you talk to about this deal, I would relate to the deal with the relationship type of prospect. And why do you want to do that? Well, now, as I'm working this deal, I know, who the interested parties are. Perhaps, though, even more importantly, a year from now, I get another deal that's very similar to Covington. I can go back to this deal and see the short list of prospects that I identified and recontact them. But here's one of the other really cool features of the way this works. Contacts that you add here, and typically your clients, you can allow them to have access to this deal. When you add them, there's a little checkbox that says, allow Don Anderson to log in for free into a light version of ClientLook to see what I have shared with him in this deal. So as you add stuff to a deal, you can designate that, yep, I want this to be available to my client, basically to the outside world. So what this does is it allows your clients to log in whenever they want to understand what's going on. But the really distinguishing thing here, and we hear this all the time from ClientLook users, is they use this capability in their pitch. So they go in to pitch a client, and instead of yep, we're going to hand you a monthly spreadsheet of our marketing activity, or I'm going to take you out to lunch once a month and I'm going to tell you everything I do, I promise. What they say is, look, we are totally transparent in our business practices, and you're going to be able to log into a portal anytime you want and see what we're doing, up to the minute. And based on the fact that it's so easy for you to contribute stuff to this deal, every email, every phone call, whatever, your deal is going to be packed with stuff. So don't ever be afraid that, I'm not generating enough activity. You are. You just don't have the ability right now to capture it effectively and to portray that story to your client. ClientLook lets you do that. Okay, marketing. These are marketing campaigns that we've sent and we've related to this deal, and then we've got groups here, so I can take a big giant list of deals and whittle it down to, these are my top deals to close this month or this quarter or whatever. So this functionality works exactly the same as it does in every other record in ClientLook. Okay, So let me talk a little bit more specifically about this idea of logging updates and relating it to a deal or a property. So I'll show you some examples here. Okay, so here I am in the contacts list, and I'm going to pull up a person here. I'll go up to the top and type somebody's name, or George Adams. Okay, so George's record. Okay, so the typical way to enter an update is I come down here into George's record, and I enter some text. And if I expand the choose the expanded options here, more details, I can expose the other things and options that I can take advantage of when I'm loading an update. So for example, so you see by default that this update comes up, the category is call, it includes George Adams, it has my name here. So here's where I could say, you know what, I also met with his real estate director and his COO, so I could add those people here. And it wasn't just me on this appointment, it was also Christopher, so I can add him, internally here. And then down with these fields, related deals, this is where I can say, we met and talked about this deal or that deal or 10 deals. You can relate those here, you just type a few characters and it matches. Same thing with properties. If I want to indicate the properties that we talked about or discussed or whatever, I can select those there. So that's how easy it is to connect stuff in ClientLook. So like I said, if you make a phone call and you simply relate it to a deal, suddenly, bam, you now have an entry in your client's, deal record, and they'll log in and they'll see that. Now the fields down below, every record that you enter into ClientLook, every contact, every property, every activity, every update has these two fields at the bottom: share update with and assign update to. So share update with really only matters if you're in a multi-user database. By default, it's set to everyone. Now, everyone doesn't mean everyone at Coldwell Banker Commercial or every ClientLook user. It means everyone in your subscription. So if your subscription is a standalone one-user subscription, it means you. But in that pick list there, I have some other options. I can privatize this update to just me. I can share it with a team that I create. So you can create subsets of users in a multi-user database and say, I just want to share this with management, or I want to share this with the Michael and John team, or whatever you choose. The point is, you get to select who sees this update. Okay, even if it's in a contact record that the whole office sees, you can choose to hide something within it. And in the bottom right there, assign update to. This is a way to just say, okay, I want to assign this to somebody else, or I want to log this under somebody else's name. So we give you the ability to do that as well. Okay, so here's an example. I plug in some data, click add, and you'll see that that update appear there down in the notes update section. All right, let me jump over to the activities module just to give you a look at this. So you're scheduling stuff for people. You're going into George Adams' record or Jessica's record, and you're scheduling tasks or an event or whatever the case is. This activities module is the roll-up of all of that stuff. So it's different from Outlook in the sense that Outlook, as an example, you just kind of go to Monday and say, call Michael Griffin. Whereas in ClientLook, you would go to a contacts record and click a little button there, which automatically loads my phone number and my name into the activity, and you just type the subject, call Michael. And then that appears here on the calendar. So you see along the right there the name of the person, which is a hyperlink. You see the description. If there's any file attachments, you'll see that. So we can look at events. We can look at tasks as well. All right, let me tell you now about Scoop. So you see up on the menus along the very top, I've clicked the menu item on the far left called Scoop. Scoop is an activity feed of everything that goes on within ClientLook. So think about it for a minute. So you are working in ClientLook during the day. You are adding updates, you're sending emails, you're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And you're doing this across a huge list of people. It's hard to understand and conceptualize in one place everything that you've done. So Scoop attempts to put all that stuff together into one cohesive feed. So I can scroll down here and see everything that I've done. This is what comes up by default, my activities. Okay, and I can add comments to stuff, for my own recollection and to give me a more thorough understanding. But this is basically everything that I've done. It's been aggregated across the entire my entire activity list. But in the upper left corner, I have a pick list there. Now this is one of those features that only applies to multi-user databases. But if you're in a multi-user account, you can choose to look at the updates and activity from another user. Provided that user has shared those updates, you'll see those. Or you can choose all users and see a summary of everything that your company has done. This is a manager's favorite thing. They choose all users. They can scroll through the activity of their entire team in the most concise and succinct way possible. Okay, so you can choose any of these options and you'll see the list transposed there. One of the other really, really cool things about Scoop is that it's searchable. So think about what you're putting together here. ClientLook is going to start to aggregate every activity, every update that you've added, every email, every file in one repository. So now I can come up here and I can say, you know, somebody at one point in the last couple of years mentioned to me that they wanted sewer permits. And I know I either logged it or I had it in an email. I don't recall. But if you come up here and type sewer permits and keywords, it will rifle through everything that you've done and find those opportunities. So this is one of the best ways to mine your database for opportunities that you may never have uncovered before. All right, so let me touch on marketing, then I'm going to jump into a little preview of our mobile app here. So this is a simple example of email marketing in ClientLook. So I've alluded to this a couple of times, and you've seen some proof of this where we have this integration with MailChimp. So there's lots of email systems. MailChimp, Constant Contact, iContact, they're all kind of the same. We chose MailChimp because it had a really good programming interface, and it had a free platform that a lot of our users are able to take advantage without any cost. But here's some of the fundamental problems we were trying to solve. When you use an outside email program, you have this issue where you have basically two lists. You have your CRM where you're trying to keep all these email addresses and people's names, and then you have this email program where you're trying to keep all these email addresses and people's names. It's redundant. So we created this mechanism where you could use ClientLook as the hub. Every contact you have goes into ClientLook, and then we push it off into MailChimp as necessary when you want to email people. The other thing that ClientLook is really good at is searching. You can find owners of industrial properties on the west side that were built after 1985. You know, stuff that's really super focused that you can't do in an email system. So you can do those lookups here, and then you can email those people. So here's how it works. You do some search, okay? Then you come to the options menu in the middle of the screen there, and you choose Send MailChimp Email. Up comes this little screen here, and I simply select a template. These are templates that are being pulled from my MailChimp account. And then I have this screen here where I compose the subject. I can relate it to deals or relate it to properties, or if we're using Google Analytics, you can even plug in some options there. Down at the bottom, send options, I either schedule it or I send it now, but one way or another, I send it and it goes. So here's what we get. ClientLook has this marketing module. You see the menu at the top there, marketing. And this lists for us all the campaigns that we've sent. So I can click into one of these, and I can see that it went to 186 recipients, and you know what was the open rate and the didn't open and that sort of thing. But the important thing is it aggregates the people over here on the right. It aggregates the people based on their engagement. Who opened it, who clicked it, who unsubscribed. And these are links to contacts in ClientLook. This isn't some outside report, it's not a spreadsheet. These are, you know, this is all integrated and put into an actionable sort of, you know, workflow. So let's click on one of these and I'll show you what I mean. So this is that Jessica record we were on before. So this is where, again, we're seeing down to the contact level what they've been sent, what their engagement has been, and now we have a visibility into the emails that go out in a whole new way. Okay, I know I'm running out of time here, so I'm trying to get through these last couple of items. Let me touch on this iPhone tab. So we worked on this really long and hard, and we are on the verge of releasing this iPhone app. On the verge means in the next couple of weeks. So our first foray into the mobile world is going to be iPhone, and then we'll do Android, you know, sometime early next year. But let me preface all of this by saying ClientLook is entirely mobilely accessible now. You don't need an app. You can log into ClientLook from your phone, from your tablet. and it works just exactly like it does in the web interface. We created this iPhone app because we can do some cool stuff here and create an experience that we think is even simpler. So that's why we undertook this. So this is an example. This is the iPhone 10 running the contact list. But the basis of this is it is meant to be your entire business basically in your pocket. So quick access to contacts, you'll see there, you can get the details, phone numbers, email addresses. You'll see every update related to contact. You can see every property they're associated with, and the deals, and even the marketing engagement stats. This is an example of how it'll look in a standard iPhone, a non-iPhone 10 interface. This is a property detail page. Here's our calendar, and this is Scoop. Scoop is amazingly cool in this iPhone app. We marvel on it internally, the way we can see things that our coworkers have done, and how fast it is, and how easy and how searchable it all is. It's really cool. Okay, so with all that said, I'm going to tell you about our special Coldwell Banker Commercial pricing program, and then we're going to get to any questions. So here's the deal. Everyone, I would suggest everyone go to the ClientLook website, sign up for a 21-day free trial. Everything that I've shown you is available in this trial. Don't take our word for any of this. We're not here to try to hard sell you on something. We want you to see and experience ClientLook, firsthand. And we don't pull any punches. So we give you the entire system free for 21 days, including access to the virtual assistant and the whole support experience. Once you decide to commit, over on the right are the various pricing options. So you can subscribe for $69 per user on an annual basis, which is $828 a year. You pay that upfront, and you've got the lowest rate. $76 is a month to month. So you don't have to commit to ClientLook long term. You can subscribe month to month, and away you go. The normal rate for ClientLook is $89 per month. So you kind of get an appreciation for the discount that you have here in Coldwell Banker. Now, I'll tell you about the $0 per user rate. We have this special program where if you are new to the business, and you can go to our website and read the definition for new to the business, not new to ClientLook, not new to Coldwell Banker Commercial, but you are a new broker. We will provide ClientLook to you for free for 6 months, knowing that money's tight, and we really want to help seed the next generation of users. So that's our kind of effort to do that. The other option that you have is down in the bottom left corner, sales@clientlook.com. We do the personalized sales demonstrations all day long to companies. So feel free to have a personalized demo for your own company that is tailored to your specialty, your geography, the third-party applications that you use, so you can really cut to the chase and understand what ClientLook can do for you. Okay, with all that said, Chuck, John, whoever is there monitoring the questions, do we have any questions that I should answer for the sake of the group?
Yeah, we had several that were asked by several people. First of which is, is there an extra charge for using the virtual assistant?
No, so that's a common question, and as amazing as it might sound, we provide the service of the virtual assistant for free. There are limitations in that. The story I like to tell is that we once had somebody send us what seemed to be like their local business directory on a PDF and asked us to rekey all of their entire town into ClientLook, which is something that we don't do. Actually, we do everything. We will just come back to you in that case and say, okay, we got to charge you some fee to do this. So we never say no. It's just a matter of use. 99% of the time, everything that you would ever throw at the virtual assistant is without cost.
Okay, and you had mentioned how emails can come into the system, but does that include email attachments as well?
Yes. So email attachments are included. One or multiple attachments, those get brought into ClientLook, and you have access to those right from the contact record or from the deal record or both.
Excellent. And somebody had asked if our entire office wants to subscribe, is there a way that I can create teams amongst those users in the office so stuff can be shared with only a particular group of people?
Yes. So administrators in a ClientLook account, you have 20 people, and you can create subsets of users, what we call teams, and a person can be on as many teams as you want, and then records can be shared appropriately. So you can use that for privatization purposes, or you say, look, the office guys don't care about the industrial properties, so when somebody puts in an industrial property, just share that with the industrial team. So me as an office guy, when I look at the property list, I don't see all these junky industrial buildings. I just see the office buildings. So yes, you can do that. It's very flexible, very easy.
Excellent. And everything else we got to individually. So that's it.
Great. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are really excited to be working with Coldwell Banker. We hope that this is the first of many presentations that we're going to have with your group, and we're really looking forward to earning your business, working really hard to making you successful, and we look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us.